Here with Padres first rounder Dylan Lesko, coming off of a really impressive year, coming off of injury too, being able to just get right back at it and show the stuff right away. I mean, how awesome was it for you to come off of the Tommy John surgery, be able to return and just have that stuff look like it did and have the success that you had already, right, as your first taste of professional baseball?
No, it was good. Definitely, like, the main goal was just get back out there. Long process, no one wants to go through it, but it was a good process to go through, just being in rehab, just like learning a lot of things about myself, about pro ball, just like feeding off guys who have been through it, just trying to get better at ways off field that you really don't have time to in season, and then getting back out there and actually getting to compete again, just throw. I mean, results were up and down, but for the most part, they were good. I was satisfied. I stayed healthy, so now it's just building off all that and attacking this year.
I mean, the stuff is what stood out, and that's what got you drafted, of course, and why you were one of the top pitching prospects in the class. But what was it? Is it almost compounding in terms of like the excitement when you're making your pro debut and you're returning after a longer layoff? Like, it had to be a really unique situation to be drafted while you're recovering.
No, for sure. I mean, getting hurt your senior year, your draft year, no one wants that. It's just like, what's going to happen? Like, just all that stuff, like college, pro ball, didn't know. Just like, at that point, I just had to take it day by day, just like let it play out, I couldn't bank on one thing because you never know what was going to happen, but it was awesome getting drafted. And then it's just like back to work, just like now the next goal is getting healthy, getting back out there. And then having both in one, just knowing I overcame something. And like, also has been my life goal, just like playing professional baseball. It was unreal.
And
do it again.
You saw yourself, you mentioned mixed results, but I mean, you're coming off of such a big layoff, and there's always like things that people work through in terms of like the feel and just getting back to normal again. But what was undeniable was the fastball was lively in there, and the changeup is just diabolical. Then you also have that breaking ball, which has flashed and been really impressive as well. Have you been focusing on any specific pitch this offseason? Have you just been focusing on the arsenal as a whole? Like, what's been the key for you as you build on that pro debut with so many impressive flashes and get ready for now a full season?
No, I mean, yeah. So this offseason, there were a couple key points, a couple mechanic things, just try to get back to where I was in high school. Some things were a little off last year, which were the reason there was mixed results, but that's normal. No one's going to be perfect with that much time off. It takes time. So there are a couple mechanical things, and then I also worked on adding a slider this year. And so adding an addition of like a harder slider to bridge the gap between the velocity differences, I feel like has also helped me with my curveball. So like, I think a true 4-pitch mix this year, I think I'm going to be even more, even just do better out there, really.
Do you feel like your curveball almost like broke too much sometimes? First, like it was hard to.
Yes.
Pitches have that much depth; it's almost difficult to be able to land it. And guys are like probably shutting that down, 3,000 RPMs.
No,
absolute banger. Like, do you feel like the slider also gives you something that maybe is a little bit easier to spot for a strike?
Yeah, it definitely does. And what you said with the big movement, it does. It is harder to land. So it's like learning the feel of where I need to throw it for this to land it or chase. So just those things weren't there. But having the slider, I feel like, is definitely a pitch where it's like, oh, I need to break smaller but land in the zone. I can do that.
We're giving you a little bit of a break from signing those cards over there. You're pretty far along, and the first guy was like, "Oh, I'm in a rhythm." I thought more people would say that. The guys are like, I don't know if I get much of a rhythm. Being a first rounder, you've signed plenty of cards already, but these Onyx cards are really unique as well. You were just talking about before we went live how cool they are. Like, it's unique where you get to sign cards that can be so rare, going all the way down to a 1-of-1 as well. Like,
yes.
Is that a cool like feeling for you when you're seeing like, hey, this is an out of 10, this is out of 5. Like, I'm gonna make somebody's month here. I'm gonna make someone's maybe year here, like with some of these cards.
No, it is, especially as a kid. Like, my dad and my grandpa had a huge collection, so I was always looking at them, but like not fully understanding it. Now, like seeing I'm on the card, and then me and my friends have got into it to like doing the breaks and just like collecting. So like seeing myself and knowing like how it is pulling something cool, it's definitely cool, like signing the 1-on-1 and over there on the live, like inscribing it in different ways. Just like, it makes it more fun.
Have you pulled yourself at all? Like, have you ripped any product that you are in?
I haven't pulled myself, but I know my dad has. He's always trying to find my.
I'm sure he's just just buying all the Padres spots. I've been asking guys this, but now you're the perfect person because you're the first guy that's like truly been into it, like on that level. If you could collect one player in your organization, one prospect, who would it be? I got one card that you could get for free of any prospect in your org.
I'd say Snelling. Just me and him we're really tight. We've been roommates since we got drafted. We're roommates now. Just like that friendly competition between one another. Just like we push each other, and we have a chance, especially Thorpe too. Just all three of us here just have a chance to like be that starting rotation of the Padres in the future. And I think it's good to be around those guys that can push you and you can compete against, but also just keep it friendly because it's like we could be really good in the future.
I love it. And something that you mentioned Thorpe as well, another unbelievable changeup.
Yes.
What is it that makes your changeup so good, and when did you really realize that you had something special there?
So I started throwing my changeup when I was a freshman in high school, and it kind of came natural. Like most guys struggle with it and like they're always asking tips, but mine just kind of came natural. Like just rolled off the fingers good because I'm a natural pronator, and that helps a lot. And as I went, it just kind of was my thing. Like no one could really hit it, and I think it's the fact that like I can play it so well off my fastball and it looks the same, and there's just such a velocity drop that it just like hitters just timing wise just can't get on it. And I think Thorpe has that same advantage just when I've watched him throw. And both of us, like, you can look at like metrics, and a lot of people are so into that, but I don't think either of us have like super metrics on our changeups. They're just play so much better off the fastball that just makes it so much better.
It's funny you mentioned that with Thorpe. Like his doesn't do anything crazy, but it's just enough of a break off the gas when you're ready for that fastball. It just drops enough and gets crazy swings. Like, is that something that you had to like work on in terms of being able to mirror the appearance of your fastball, or did it just always kind of come natural in terms of being able to repeat the release, not slow your arm down, not tip it in any way? Obviously you can't control too much about how it looks out of your hand from that point on. Like that's the natural side, but did it all come natural? Or?
I mean, once the feel's natural, it's then just like repetitions, just like throwing it in different spots so you can throw your fastball in different spots and just like tunneling them off another. And it's all comes down to like catch play and bullpens, just like practice throwing it in different spots, whether it be glove side, low, arm side, instead of just most people rely all on arm side because that's just like easier. But once you can master kind of throwing it everywhere, you can also play your fastball a lot better off of it.
And your fastball has just got that impressive ride to it too. Like it's just the life at the top of the zone. Is that something that you've always had? And is that something that you talk about the metrics and things that like you can key in on? Are there things that you do like start to look at when you're throwing a bullpen and Rapsodo, like with Rapsodo and the feedback?
Yeah, honestly, for me, it's just like how I feel. I've always been a firm believer if like they're not hitting it, like it's good enough,
That's fair enough.
Like obviously you're doing something good if you're getting like the results.
High score on Rapsodo.
Yeah.
If you're getting outs again.
And I feel like sometimes when you want to chase like certain numbers so bad, it can be a problem. So for me, it's been like feel if I'm locating, if like it's feeling good coming out of my hand, if like pitches look good off of it, like that's good enough for me. I'll ask like velo sometimes, just like know where I'm at, just like for our standpoint. But
so you probably had no idea that you're like had like crazy vert in high school, or like that you were getting
no.
You just knew I'm throwing fastballs, they're swinging through it, they're chasing at the top of his arm.
And in high school it was kind of just go do it. Like I try not to worry about all that. I felt like the more I knew and like thought about it, the worse I did. So I kind of just like try not to think, just like believe in what I got.
What's your process maybe in assessing after a start? Again, because I'd imagine you probably have a similar mentality. You don't want to micromanage, you don't want to do too much, but you also want to look back and see what you did and see what you can do better. Like, what's your, I guess, your recap? How do you usually look back and try to improve on each outing?
No, now there's so much video, you can just analyze pitch to pitch, just like mechanics wise. You can look at the numbers and see like, oh, did it not just ride as much? Did I miss my spot? Just did it not sweep as much? All that kind of stuff. So like you can just know like where you made those mistakes, but like also you get away with some too. So it's like you can't dive into it too much. Sometimes you throw a good pitch and they hit it, So it's just like you analyze it with what you're given, but you can't change it. You just got to build off that and go into your next bullpen and game and just work on it and just try to get better from there.
You mentioned the slider, and that's going to add another wrinkle to what is already a really difficult arsenal to hit. What has been another key for you through this off season, just going into the year now in terms of like, you mentioned kind of repeating some of the mechanics. Is there anything else in your game that you're looking to hone in on a little bit more in this season?
Definitely just cut down some of the walks. Wasn't a big problem for me in high school and everything. And last year kind of was newer for me to just like walk guys, which it comes. Yeah, just and I didn't want to blame it on that during the season, but I obviously am feeling really good now. So hopefully, like, I get back to what I know I can do and just not walk and just pound the zone and just attack hitters and be myself, you know?
And for you, you mentioned not really having those issues in the past, being able to repeat your mechanics well. Like, just with that kind of a layoff, is it more of just like your body still feeling a little bit different, or just not doing those moves and going through those motions the same way for so long? Like, what is it that, coming off of Tommy John or such a big layoff, it's not just you, it's everybody that makes it so hard to, have that command be there, or at least in the beginning?
Yeah, no, it is everyone. And I think a lot of us expect to just go back to normal. And that's just not the case. You're going to have your ups and downs. You're going to have your setbacks. And then people, I think, freak out when that happens. But it's natural. Like, it's not an easy injury to come back from. That's why everyone says it takes anywhere from like 12 to 16 months. You just have to do it on your timeline. You guys play it day by day. You got to put in the work, really. And when you come back, like, people say it takes like 2 years to feel like your true self. And honestly, like, I kind of believe it now that, like, I'm almost at to your point. Like, you feel 100%. I did at least last year, but like after having this full off season, it's just like I just feel so much better now.
You start to remember, like, oh wait, no, I felt a little bit better, and then now you can start to feel it, I'm sure. And that's an interesting side of it, because there are people who say, once you kind of get to that 2 year buffer, like, you come back, maybe some people come back stronger because through the rehab, you're strengthening other aspects of your body. You're kind of getting your arm maybe as well-rounded as it has ever been. Do you feel like now you're at that point where you feel stronger across the board? And do you feel like that's something that could almost help you take another step forward this coming season, that maybe from a Dylan Lesko that we haven't even seen before?
No, I do. I mean, definitely body-wise, like, gaining a lot of weight during the process, just like good weight, just growing up a little more, getting a better routine, understanding the recovery aspect even better, and just like all those things where it's like most high schoolers kind of just forget about and just go be a kid, just go throw, like, oh, maybe like ice your arm, run after, but like there's so much more to it, even on days you don't pitch. And it's just like all those little things that you get to learn through that long process that you can just add to your just everyday lifestyle. It just helps so much.
One last question for you. There's a lot of stars. There's a lot of, big name prospects even in your system as well. Who's somebody in the Padres system that you think maybe deserves a little bit more shine, that doesn't get as much of the fanfare?
Shoot, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot. I feel like every day I'm out around guys who just blow my mind. Just like every day someone's getting after it. I'm like, I mean, obviously you have your guys who are listed as top prospects, but I feel like every one of our guys could be top prospects.
It's funny, like, I was out here in the Arizona Fall League. I'm watching Graham Pauley get some swings off. He looks like, a dog.
Yeah.
And then Jacob Marcy's doing things in center field and making plays. Like, it seems like this is a system that's extremely talented top to bottom, and it seems like you guys can kind of feel it.
Yeah, I feel like we have a really tight-knit group. I feel like we all get along. I mean, we're all pulling for one another, which honestly I didn't expect coming to pro ball. It's because kind of,
you don't always hear that.
No, you don't, because it's kind of like it's a job. You're all like kind of fighting against each other, but it's been a surprise to me because I feel like within us we're all just trying to get each other better. And you've seen it with Snelling having a year last year, Paulie, Marcy, all of them just like balling out in their first year, being the fall league. It's just like, it's great to see, and it's like it pushes us to be better too, because we want that.
I love it. And it seems like you guys have that core that's kind of climbing up together, and it's going to be fun to see all you guys matriculate up to the big leagues as well. Well, I'm excited to see a full season from you this year and see that slider out in game action. And thank you so much for taking the time.
No, thank you for having me.